when you see these really broad claims and then you compare it against our research, I think that's one really bold act of greenwashing that I see.
We're joined today by Liv Simpliciano from Fashion Revolution. Liv, how would you, in your own words, describe Fashion Revolution?
So Fashion Revolution is the world's largest fashion activism movement, campaigning for a clean, safe, fair, transparent, and accountable fashion industries. The Fashion Transparency Index is an annual review and ranking of 250 of the world's largest brands and retailers, ranked according to their level of public disclosure across various human rights and environmental policies, practices, outcomes, and impacts. And we've been publishing this since 2017, so we're on our 8th edition. One of our research findings is that 51% of brands we review publish targets on sustainable materials. So what materials they are using, their fiber mix, what targets they might have. Whilst 51% disclose their targets on sustainable materials, just 44%, so less, disclose what actually constitutes a sustainable material. So we know that the term sustainable is not a legally protected term. It can mean many different things for many different people, which is why it's so important to have a view on how brands actually define what is sustainable to them. Once you have that understanding, you can really assess whether or not their targets are robust enough, if they are truly delivering on what would be a sustainable target. On some brand websites, you'll see kind of really unfounded claims that everyone in their supply chain earns a living wage. And on the other hand, our research shows that actually 99% of the brands we review don't actually disclose the percentage of workers in their supply chain earning a living wage. So when you see these really broad claims and then you compare it against our research, I think that's one really kind of bold act of greenwashing that I see. And I think something else that I see often is using words like competitive wages or wages higher than, the local minimum wage. These are not living wages, period. If they were living wages, you would call them living wages. You wouldn't have to come up with all these descriptors and languages around it. We know the fashion industry is a $1 trillion industry. Some of the wealthiest individuals in the world are fashion CEOs, whose wealth is entirely dependent on the millions of people who make our clothes. So having this kind of growing disparity between fashion CEOs and the people who make the clothes is really concerning. It's causing, generational impact. We see testimonies from garment workers whose wish is that their children do not have to go into such underpaid and undervalued work. The cycle of that must be broken. We have to fight for living wages. I think the index findings this year really show a story of leaders and laggards. So on the one hand, we have brands finally achieving a score of 80% or higher, but on the other end of the spectrum, we have 18 brands that still score 0%. There's a cohort of brands that always score 0%. So it's surprising to me that since we've done this research since 2017, they've remained impervious to change. They've remained, stubborn in terms of disclosing more information about who makes their clothes, where their clothes are made, and so on. It's a shame that these brands are waiting to be legally held accountable before they become transparent. We've seen a worrying trend of some brands that were formerly transparent and who formerly participated in our research being purchased by really untransparent parent companies. So for example, last year, some participating brands included Boardwriters Group brands, which are Roxy, Billabong, and Quicksilver. In the previous year, we also had Van Heusen and Reebok. All of these brands have actually been purchased by Authentic Brands Group, and since that purchase, they have become untransparent. So Authentic Brands Group actually owns 9 brands in our index now, so that's about 4% of the brands we review. And it's concerning that when these brands were previously engaged, were previously disclosing some information, have now become completely untransparent because they've changed ownership. We asked ChatGPT to create fake job adverts for us that really reflects the reality of garment workers worldwide. In the process of putting in data and information from case studies that are based on real data, real wages, real working hours, and so on, ChatGPT actually said that what we were asking it to do was illegal. When an AI machine says that what we're asking it to do is actually unethical, it begs the question, how in real life are fashion brands able to perpetuate really exploitative working conditions, practices, and so on?